Hey guys, and welcome back to Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. Man, do we have a awesome episode for you this week, a special episode where I met with, of course, I had to do this one solo, and Marshall couldn't make it this week again, and you'll hear from him soon. He's just been incredibly busy, but we had some guests on the episode this week, RYFFC, Josh and Colin. It's a new app, a new platform, social media platform, and man, did they have some amazing stuff to say about it. I was able to talk to them, and I met them initially at Winter Jam, and it was, we just connected, and I'm so excited to show you guys this week our conversation and introduce you to this new platform, because I really think that this is something that's going to take off. It is really, it's a social media type platform. If it does kind of feel a little bit like Twitter, but it's so much different than that. And so anyway, Josh and Colin, great guys. I'm excited to get into this with you. And so stay tuned. When we come back on the other side, we're going to have Josh and Colin. We'll get them introduced. RYFFC is their platform. Just stay tuned. So here we go.
Fearless.
Chase.
Bold.
Following.
Courageous.
Search. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Marshall.
And this is
Undaunted
Pursuit. Okay, and we're back, guys. Thanks for joining us, Colin. Josh Gap and Colin. And I haven't necessarily learned your last name yet, but I've kind of pre-warned the listeners that we had some guests on with Riff. It's a new app, and we're going to get into talking about that. So welcome, guys. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Oh, so, all right. So getting into it, you guys just, I've got, as you can imagine, a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions when I met you initially at Winter Jam, and that's what kind of spurred this whole podcast, is to get you on here, learn a little bit about this new app, or I guess from what I understand, it's a revamping, isn't it, or is it brand new?
It's brand new.
Okay, because I was looking at you. I've had a few. About a week or so to kind of get into it and stuff. So it does look new, but it also does look like it's been out for a little while. So how long has this Riff app been out?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. We did a soft launch back in, I don't remember the exact date. It was last fall, November-ish, of 2023. But that was really just amongst family and friends. I mean, it was technically in the App Store, so if you happen to have run across it, you would have been able to download it. But it was really just family and friends, and and that was purely for beta testing purposes.
Okay.
We kind of officially did the hard launch about second week of January of this year. That's when we went quote unquote live with it and started pushing that to everybody else. What you may have seen, so a week ago we released version 2.0. And so it's significant update about a week ago, and that may have been kind of what you were seeing in there, and we can certainly get into all this as the conversation progresses. But
Sure.
The essence of what version 2.0 is, we have a feature called Citizen Reporter, which is what it sounds like. As a citizen, as a regular person, you get to kind of report on the news and report on the the events of the world around you. And in version 1.0, or the early version of this, it was purely text only. And then we added a cover photo a little bit after that. Version 2.0, we significantly upgraded the Citizen Reporter feature. So now you can put video onto the app, and you can put multiple images. So you can now put three big images on the app, and video capability as well. So that was version 2.0, which was
Sweet.
a significant milestone for us when that came out.
Okay, so let me stop you right there before we go any further. Um, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself, and I want you to as well, Colin, because I want to see how you
Yeah.
guys are partnered, and just kind of learn a little bit about both of you guys. So whoever wants to kick it off can kick it off.
Colin, do you want to go first or should I?
You please.
Okay. So my name's Josh Gap. I it's a long story, man. Do you got time for the whole thing? Or no, I'm just kidding.
We got all the time in the world. This is hey, I run this thing, so we got all the time we want.
I'll still be brief, but I'm a physician by training. So I grew up like everybody else, and then eventually went to
Hmm.
medical school, and went through residency fellowship, and then was practicing medicine for the last almost 20 years.
Wow.
It'll be about so for about the last 20 years. Um, and so that's kind of that's kind of that part of me. But uh, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I mean, I was
Hmm.
that kid that in elementary or junior high was selling Christmas cards to the neighbors, so that I
Oh
could,
yeah, yeah.
I think I think I got enough points to get like a tent and something else. I don't remember. I took out my first business loan while I was still in high school. I ran a bunch of vending machine or a bunch of gumball machines. And
Mm.
it's it's not as much fun as it sounds. But I had a painting company back in college. I hired my first employee when I was like 20 or 21. My
Yeah.
brothers and I had a sub shop, back in the day, and my wife and I, Angie, who's also one of the co-founders. So Colin,
Hmm.
me, and Angie are the co-founders of
Sweet.
RYFFC. So we had a preschool that was actually up in St. Louis. I think up by your parts. It was Fallon, Illinois, but
Oh, yep. That's where my wife
the
kind of
Illinois.
grew up.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So we had a preschool up there. We just sold our interest in that, within the last year or so. Throughout my life, I've been involved in business and entrepreneurship and that sort of thing. I grew up and became a doctor, but I was born an entrepreneur. I guess is probably the way to
I
think
can
about
relate.
it. And so this, RIFC, and Colin and I, we've known each other, and I'll kind of let Colin tell his story, separate. So I'll try not to steal any thunder from you, Colin. But Colin and I met. So we both attended Vanderbilt for our MBA back in it was like 2000. I think we graduated 2013. So
Nice.
a little bit over a decade ago, and so that's where we met. We became fast friends and have been great friends ever since. And we've done a couple things before this. RIFC is the most significant of what we've done. But yeah, no, this started. Um, it started off as a hobby project. I
Hmm.
really this was never intended to become a business. It was never intended to become something that that the world saw. It really was just a way for me and my friends to kind of yell at the kids to get off the lawn.
Yeah. Right.
It was social media and news and the world. It's just so broken and it's so toxic and there's all I like. There's all these issues in but you still need to be informed and you still need to know what's going on. And so this, when I started this, it was really just a way for me and my friends to kind of keep up with what was going on, kind of
Sure.
riff on it, be snarky or whatever, but, riff about the news and try to hold the news accountable, in amongst our, our friends. And, but it's grown. It kind of kept on evolving. Like, it started off as like this little, literally, an idea written out on scratch paper, and then
Yeah.
I brought in a coder or somebody who could help me with some coding. It was going to be a website at first, and then we decided to
Hmm.
do an app. And then I brought in one of our assistants, and she started to help me with the design. And then we brought in a bigger coder, and then Colin came on board, and then it just kind of kept on growing. And now it's this
Wow.
beautiful, wonderful app that we're just in the process of trying to we're it's like when you have a tiger by the tail, you're trying to figure out
Hmm.
how to how to ride it without being bit at the same time, and so that's the kind of personal journey of how I am from here to there. And
Hmm.
I mean, I've got 47 years of life experience to talk about, so we don't want to talk about it all, but that's how
Right.
I got.
Well, I think you've covered a lot of talking points there, because I wanted to make mention that before we get real too deep into it is the fact that what makes this app stand out. For one, I want to commend you on doing the app, because that's kind of the way the world is going right now, is apps and on the cell phone. And I know that you guys considered that, and that's why it's in app form instead of what you said, website. But um, this this app differs from other social media platforms, because it is taking uh, that and I put it in quotation, the fake news, out of the equation. It allow you, like you said, you've originally designed this to be, let's everybody's their own reporter, pretty much, and then now you can talk about this. Now let's discuss it. Who agrees? Who disagrees? And then let's. That's what we're missing from this world. From this age that we live in now, that we can't have a healthy disagreement, can we?
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm sure, did I kind of hit that on the head?
Yeah, yeah. So, and I still want to give Colin a chance to kind of introduce himself too. But the real quick and short dirty of what you're saying, free speech is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and free speech
Mm-hmm.
is something that I think of as an absolute necessary. Well, it's an absolute fundamental human right, and it's an absolute necessity to have a free, well functioning democracy. You absolutely have to have it. The
Right.
problem with free speech is that it's a dual edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
You have some awful people out there who say some awful things,
Yep. Yep.
and if you don't have a way to deal with it isn't the right word. If you don't have a way to incorporate that into the mechanism,
Yep. There you
you
go.
don't truly have free speech. It all, like, if you can't tolerate the really, really awful thing, if your solution to the really, really awful thing is just to turn it off, or to make it go away, or to get rid of it, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
free speech. And so it's this dual edged sword. And so when when as we were designing this, and from the very, very get-go, it was, how do we account for that? How do we have this marketplace of ideas where people can come together,
Mm-hmm.
and have civilized discourse with each other, and still maintain that ability to say, to say what you truly think. And so we systematically went through, and we've tried to take the toxicity out of it. We've tried to put
Sure.
the mechanisms in place so that, when somebody is being a troll, like, that's fine. They can be a troll, but that doesn't mean you don't have to listen to them necessarily. We're not
Right.
taking them off the platform. They're still there, but you don't have to keep engaging in that conversation. That conversation is done. They got one chance to kind of say something to you. In order for them to continue talking to you, you have to have this mutually consensual conversation. And these are all
Mm-hmm.
things we can get in. I mean, I'm jumping into the weeds here, but it's
There's so
precisely for
much to
those
talk
reasons
about.
there really is. But it's precisely kind of what you're saying, what birthed this, idea in the first place. And all of that seeps. So we talked about this toxicity in the news and social media, and this, fake news, or this endemic problem in the current media. It all stems back to this issue. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, when you look at it, everybody recognizes. Colin and I've talked about this many times. It's when you think of it from a disease process. I'm a physician, so that's kind of
Sure.
what
I'm a
you think of.
paramedic, or I used to be a paramedic, so
Yeah,
I
so
can
so
understand.
you'll
Sure.
yeah, so you'll appreciate this. So when you think about the toxicity that's in social media, well, that's in media. It's not just social media. It's in the news. It's everywhere. That's in the world today. The toxicity is the symptoms. It's the symptoms of this underlying problem that
Mm-hmm.
you have with, you have this paradox with free speech. And if you don't address the paradox that's there, you'll never cure the disease. You're just treating the symptoms. If somebody
Right.
walks in with if you show up at somebody's door and they have 103 fever, yeah, you can give them the Tylenol or the antipyretics and get that fever down. But if they're
Hmm.
septic, you're not curing them. In fact, you may be making it worse because their fever is going to go down, and then they're going to ignore the treatment for a little bit longer, and
Yep.
they're going to be harder to treat in the future. And so that was kind of we looked at it. We're like, there's all this toxicity and all this other. How do we make this better? And we make this better by addressing the fundamental problem. And we think that we've done that. I mean, you can't take all the pain out, but we think we've taken out almost all that you can take out of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll get into how the platform looks and everything. Like I said, we can make this as long or as short as we really want because I've been thinking about this all day. But Colin, man, let's hear your story a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with where we just left off, which is the opportunity to kind of create a safe space for people to have a conversation, and whether you call it that way or not, agreement or disagreement. And I'll say this: Josh and I could not be more different. One, but at the same time, we could not be more similar. So I'll
Right.
start with the similar part, and then I'm going to go to the difference for my background. The more similar part, as he mentioned, we met in business school at Vanderbilt Owen School of Management. We finished
Hmm.
our MBA. And the second thing that is really true about both of us is we are both idealists. We truly believe in a better future, a better
Hmm.
way of where we are today, and how can we change this, right? And we've wrestled in the number of companies he's mentioned. We've created solutions that create that better place for us all,
Sure.
and that's where RIFFC is. So that's kind of our similar goal and our commitment to the future. The difference: I grew up in Africa. I was
Hmm.
born a refugee during the South African apartheid time. Lived in 5 countries before coming to the US, all as a refugee before South Africa became independent. And
Wow.
in that, kind of learned about both the trials and tribulations and the differences and different people's opinion. You could be in one side and
Hmm.
everything that you believe in is absolutely true. You could be very much on the other side, and everything you hold based on your frame of reference could also be very true. So the question
Yeah.
becomes, how could two truths be true at the same time, right? And that's the fundamental element that we always talk about with Josh, and kind of try and create this opportunity where you still could have the opportunity to speak your mind, but
Hmm.
also in a safe space. So that's kind of the difference, but yet the similarity that Josh and I have. And you will see this in our DNA, you will see this in our commitment to the future. We will always bring these differences that then coalesce into a similar vision for the future together. Uh, a little bit then more about myself professionally. When I came to the United States, landed in Minnesota, spent
Hmm.
my first seminal years in Minnesota, did economics and computer science as an undergraduate. And then I, like Josh, worked in healthcare for the last 20 years,
Oh,
mostly
okay.
on the delivery side. Josh is a physician. I am more on the administrative side of
Okay.
hospitals. Most of my professional side has been in healthcare, but with a significant leaning towards technology and innovation and strategy.
Mm.
And that's kind of where we come together. Live in Nashville, Tennessee. Josh only a couple of hours away from I, and we've remained in contact, started many businesses together, and very excited about RIFFC and its potential for that idealism that I mentioned earlier. And we'll speak a little bit more in terms
Sure.
of where do we go from here to the future. But for now,
We're
that's
gonna
a
get
little
into
bit about me.
that.
Yes, my background and kind of my current state, and more importantly, just how that refugee status for 16 years that I lived as a refugee has framed my commitment to the work that we're doing with Briefsy in terms of
Hmm.
really creating that safe space to share what we truly believe in, regardless of the vantage point or the filter that you have of looking at the world.
Right. Well, what a story! My goodness. Yeah.
So
And
our tagline, or I mean, we're still finding our voice, but I think the line that describes us the best is that RIFC is a place where free speech and safe places coexist.
right,
And we've really set about to design and make it so that you can have both. And most people don't believe you can have both. Most people think that you have to choose one or the other.
right,
If you truly have free speech, you have to be tolerant of some really awful things. And if you
sure,
truly have safe spaces, then you can't you've got to stifle speech so that you don't hear bad things.
hmm
And we disagree. Colin and I disagree with that sentiment. We
I
think you can have
disagree
both, and
as well. Yeah.
and we've built it so that you have both. And I think that if we can get this out in the world and let it do its thing, then
hmm
it will make that dent in the universe that will make the world a better place. That's what I believe anyway, and I think Colin thinks the same way.
Now, and I've been calling it. I've been saying it all wrong. I'm calling it a riff. That's what you do in the app, and
Right, right.
riff C. What I forgot. Forgive me. What is the C for?
So the C can be for conversation. It can be for coexistence. It can be for I've been really uh,
Community,
Community.
community.
Okay. Okay.
collaboration.
We thought it sounded cool.
Yeah.
That was-
Okay. All right. Hey, and that's
Yeah.
cool too.
So you're absolutely right, Aaron. I think Reef is a bigger one. When you're searching for the platform and application, Reef C makes sense. But the Reef is really it is the central element that defines how we are. And everything we do in the app is governed
Mhm.
by this Reef. And I'll let Josh kind of talk about the the essence of why we thought about Reef. And really great story, Aaron. You should ask him, why is it limited to the characters that we do? Please ask him that question. So Josh,
Oh.
talk about the
Okay.
Reef.
All right. Josh, why is it only limited to what was it? 80, 88 characters?
88.
Yeah.
so is 88 what you need to hit? 88 what you need to hit to go back in time. It's
Oh, okay.
Michael J. Fox,
Yeah.
Back to the Future. It's just a call. It's a
Nice.
callback to one of my favorite movies of the 80s.
That's awesome. I love it.
But the riff itself, so it's designed specifically to be kind of this. It's like a riff, like a comedy riff or a musical riff. It's
hmm
it's supposed to be short and succinct, witty, whatever you want to do. I mean, it can be serious. It can be very. It's your riff. You can do with it what you want, but you've only
Right.
got 88 characters to do it in. So
So the platform itself, it does, and okay, I'm not gonna try and insult you guys, but it does to somebody just downloading it, like I did. I downloaded. I scanned your app, your QR code at Winter Jam there, and I immediately downloaded it. Initially, it feels like you're getting on Twitter. Did you guys or X now, I guess? And I'm not trying to insult you guys by any means, but did you guys mean to do it like that, to put it into that format?
not intentionally. So this isn't a mimic of any other platform that's out there.
No, and that's not what
So
I'm trying to say at all. Yeah.
no. I totally get what you're asking, and it, that's how the design evolved.
Sure.
So honestly, like I've never really been on Twitter. I mean, I think well, I know I have a Twitter account, and
Mm.
the only tweets that I ever see, or X's, I guess I don't know what you call them now,
Yeah.
that I
Right.
ever see are when a reporter's reporting somebody else's tweet, and then it's embedded in their story. So
Yeah.
that's how I know Twitter. And so, but no, that's just how the design evolved. So we tried to, I very intentionally, we always try to put the user first when
Mm-hmm.
we're setting out on the design or the process or really any part of this. And as the design or as we were building it, this format or the format that you see on the app was the
Mm-hmm.
format that was the easiest to read. It's the easiest to use. It
Okay.
was the easiest to navigate, and it just, the main news feed there, that first feed that you go on,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's easy to very quickly pick out the stories, and it's not it's not cluttered and in your face. You
Right.
can really quickly see the stuff that you like and then move on if you don't like it. And so that was it was really just the design, the look evolved out of the form of or the function of what we thought the user would like the best. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
it's a long way to
And
answer.
I'll add and say, I think to your point, the key elements were just a clean, simple look.
Sure.
That was the criteria we wanted, and I think we've achieved that. We are very proud with the simplicity of the application. But to your point, when Josh started thinking about this, and then when we finally had the application last year,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter in itself completely fell apart. And
Right.
it couldn't have been a better year for us thinking about coming up, because you have what we always struggle with is in life, as you can imagine, is you have individuals. It's like we are creatures of habit.
Right.
And in my professional life with hospitals, I had a great mentor, and I'll mention him on this podcast. He's called Dr. Jim Jurges. And sometimes we were talking, and as we try to innovate different care ways and care pathways, he would say, Colin, always think about the patient as the cow paths. Like you can create a road for people to walk through, but
Mm-hmm.
someone will find the shortest way to do it, and they'll stumble through the flowers, the grass, and a path will exist, and people will just start using that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Twitter to us becomes the simplicity of our application, and the collapse of Twitter last year becomes an easy entry for us to kind of think about our consistency and the users, what they really are frustrated about Twitter, and how
Mm-hmm.
they find those answers within RIFFC. It became easy. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
risk slash monument of people moving over to us is minimal. If we had tried to design something really complex and really elaborate, that's hard for people to kind of capture. So
I
that
see what you're
simple
saying.
design
Yeah.
also absolutely worked in our favor.
Well, you just take it, for example, I stick with, just like people stick with iPhones, I stick with Samsungs, but I
Yeah,
like the features stay the same, but you still change phones. The most of the user interface of the device stays the same. So I think in other words, what you're trying to say is the fact that um, it may look similar, but it's just a little bit more user friendly, or it allows other things to happen, but it's something that people are all familiar with. Correct?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is a little off topic, but like Jordan Peterson one time said something really like he was talking about creativity, and he's talking about and I'm totally paraphrasing him, and I'm probably going to butcher it without seeing the quote right in front of me. Um, but he was talking about what makes the next great song, what makes the next great poem, what makes the next great this or that, and he said that it needs to be enough like the previous so that people are so that people recognize it, but it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be different enough than everything else that came before it, that it's got that spark of I mean, this is what we call creativity, but it's got that spark of genius that makes you want
Yeah.
to look at it. And so this discussion just kind of reminded me of that. This was the design of the app was an evolution of the user experience, but
Mm-hmm.
ironically, it does look there are features that overlap with some pre-existing pre-existing parts, and I think it's just part of that creative process that gets you from point A to point B on it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is a oh man, where was I going with that? I was thinking of something while you were talking. Either way, no, you guys are doing a great job with it. It looks good. And how is it to? Is it like other social media platforms where how do you gain for lack of a better words friends with people? Or is that something that this app is about? It is for community, so you are trying to build a community in there. So how do you go about using that to gain connections?
Yeah, Colin, do you want to do you want to elaborate or?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I think you're absolutely right.
I'm throwing Colin under the bus for that one.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 no worries at all. At our heart, it's a community. So we've evolved even this year to kind of think a little bit about not only just the community effect of social media, but also
Mm-hmm.
the community effect of a movement. And we are acknowledging that in the past couple of years, and I'll probably say 10 years past, people have become very disenfranchised.
Mm-hmm.
Our society is becoming more and more divided. But we are finding that most of the individuals are tired of that. So how do we rally back that? And this is why it ties really well with that flex capacitor analogy of Back to the Future that Josh mentioned. How do we get back to the future, to where we really loved? We
Mm-hmm.
could consume news, we could consume information, and news doesn't have to be just politics, it could be anything. We
Sure.
could do it with fun, we could engage, learn more, expand our universe, expand our ideas, expand our differences through communication, conversation, debate, whatever you want to call it. And that mutual understanding of, I might have a different opinion than you, Aaron, but once I listen to you, I
Mm-hmm.
might still not agree with you, but at least I will respect where you're coming from. That is absent nowadays because everyone is trying to just shout louder than the other person, and we hope that the louder we shout, everyone will listen. But that's not the truth of
Mm-hmm.
it all. So the movement we are trying to change, and in that building the community, is how do we go back to that past where we actually were friendly to each other. We actually gave people the space to express their views and for us to have an open mind to take it in
Mm-hmm.
and with our intellect as human beings decide if we still have changed our mind, or if we don't, at least you understand where it's coming from in a humane way. So that's the community and movement we are building, hence the free speech and safety coexisting together.
Right.
From a specifically to your question of how we build it, we have a couple pronged strategies that we are going through. One is within the application, the normal influencer models that every social media works with. We are fortunate enough to have relationships with three wonderful social media influencers who are right in the space of where we are working with, whether they're around
Oh.
sports, whether they're around news from a citizen reporter standpoint, whether they are also through events and elements like that. We also have partners like Winterjam. Winterjam has
Mm-hmm.
been very fortunate and kind to us in regard to allowing us and believing in what we do to kind of give us the platform to spread this movement and this
Yeah.
message. And then, secondly, we also working within the application itself to figure out and enhance friends, inviting other friends and sharing what they see if they like, and making that as easy as we can to kind of build that community of people who are rallying behind this movement that we are creating. So the takeaway from my answer is really, how do we get a snowball effect towards a greater movement that
Mm-hmm.
is back to ensuring that our world is not divided, but actually working together to the greater good of society.
I like it.
Yeah, and to echo kind of what Colin was saying, like this, and as we've gone through this process, we really are building a community of people. So
Mm-hmm.
every new ripper that comes onto the app, it's one more person with one more voice, with one more chance of an interaction with the world, and another possible opinion that to hear, or another point of view to see. And we're very intentionally trying to grow this. I mean, we've had many discussions like, oh, we could just go do this, and then we get a bunch of these type of people on the app. Well, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to be intentional with
Yeah.
making it a space for everybody. Well
Mm-hmm.
rounded, where all stripes feel welcome.
Sure.
It doesn't matter if your stripes are this way or your stripes are that way. This is a place where you can feel comfortable. To express yourself, to say what you think, and to know that you're not going to get harassed for it. You're not going to get, trolled for it or demonized for it. You're not going to get canceled for it.
Canceled. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and that's that. It's that balance. It's that scale that we've very intentionally tried to build into there. And I think that we've built the app in such a way that there is no canceling in the app. It's there's so what'll happen. And this is kind of getting a little technical, but it's just kind of going off of that thought.
Yeah, no,
But
that's cool.
yeah. So say you make a post on you riff something. There's some piece of news somewhere that that you riff on. I don't know if you're a Cardinals fan, but
Sure.
the Cardinals just traded away some player that you loved, and you're like, oh, these fools, what are they thinking? Why would they do that? And so that's your riff, and you put the story up on there, but then you get some Cubs fan that gets on there,
Mm-hmm.
and ordinarily, if this is another social media app, that Cubs fan can just kind of keep on ribbing you and ribbing you and ribbing you and ribbing you and ribbing you.
Yeah.
Uh, but with what we've done, in the riff back section, that particular Cubs fan, he'll have one chance, or she will have one chance to kind of say something to you. That it's the riff back.
Mm-hmm.
They'll riff you back, and then at that point, you choose whether or not you continue to engage in that conversation. If you choose not to engage, well, then there's no more. The conversation's done. You put the microphone down, and they can't keep
Yep.
harassing you. They can't keep trolling you. But if you want to have that conversation, if it's like, if they said something that you really feel strongly about, and you want to continue, well, then you say your turn, and then they say their turn, and then they say their turn. And we've actually, this has worked in real life. We've had instances where people have gone on and they've tried to troll people, and you put the microphone down, and the conversation's done. And so we don't have to, like, RIFFC as an app, or RIFFC as an organization, we don't have to cancel people. We don't have to remove somebody.
Yeah.
It happens by design, that the conversation just kind of ends naturally, and that part goes away. I know that's a little
No,
bit far
that's a perfect
from the original.
explanation. Yeah. Perfect explanation of what the app is and what your intentions are with it. And I love it. So let's kind of change gears here a little bit. Where since we're getting towards we're about midway, getting towards the end of it. And I feel that this might take a little time to get to it anyway. So where do you guys see this going? What's your outlook? Talking as we've been talking about Back to the Future, what's the future outlook of this? Do you guys have more things in the works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll let Josh say that, but if you might allow me, Aaron, a couple of things. One, we've talked about RIFFC per se, but we haven't yet, for your listeners, spelled it out for them. So RIFFC is RYFFC. So search for us if it's okay with you, because people can write RIFFC in all different ways. So RYFFC. Now, Josh, tell us where we're going.
Yeah. So we're at the beginning of this beautiful journey that I we hope the long term goal is that we're up when people talk about Twitter or X or whatever it is, they're talking about RYFFC. When they talk about Facebook, they're talking about RYFFC. When they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about Instagram, they're talking about RYFFC. That's where we're going with this. We have every intention and plan to. I mean, you don't make a dent in the world if you are only in Knoxville, Tennessee. You make a dent
Right.
by being everywhere, and so that's where we're planning to go. From a product standpoint, we have a bunch of really cool features in the works that are
Mm-hmm.
that are planned out and down the road. And as the app grows, our feature set will grow as well. And there's some really really cool things that we have down the line developmentally. Um, but the app that we have today that's available in the store today is already a killer product. We're very like even if it never even if it never evolves past where it is now, and it will, but even if it
Mm-hmm.
never does, it already is a, a cool thing that's out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we I'm very excited about our future. I'm really the hardest. I think the biggest the biggest obstacle that we have ahead of us uh, is this. While also stressful, is probably also the most fun. It's getting it out there so other people can see it. It's getting it out there so that other people can use it and try it and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
The more people that we have on the app, the better the experience for everybody that's on there. And that's kind of that's our current. We've if you talked to us 3 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of December, at the end of 2023, at that point we had just spent 18 months or so, just developing, designing, coding,
Wow.
iterating, coding, iterating,
Man.
publishing, coding, getting it out there. And but the phase that we're in now is just as much fun and just as it's got its own set of challenges too. But now it's getting it out there to the people in line at Winter Jam. Where I met you
Yeah.
at. It's getting it into the hands of real users who can enjoy it. Have the experience of of this marketplace of ideas that we've built for everybody, and this way to communicate, and hopefully tell their friends about it, and pass it on to everybody else, and come back and enjoy it again and again. So I'm not sure if that answered your question or not.
No, no, that answers it perfectly. I was just, I was thinking, how does this? Are you guys? Do you guys allow? Is it? Oh, well, you see Hollywood going this way, crowdfunding, and are you guys doing? How are you monetarily? This may be getting too personal, but you don't have to get too deep into it. But are you allowing advertisers? Anybody who knows who's listening to this podcast, but do you guys allow investors or advertisers to advertise on your platform as well?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question, and there's a lot of answers to that. And I'll reserve a little bit for Colin on it because yeah, I mean, there's something specifically that you mentioned that we've been kicking around.
Hmm.
But the short answer is yes to kind of all of that. We don't have ads on the app yet. That's part of that's in the future development plan. And really right now our user base is small enough where the revenue that we derive from the ads at this juncture, wouldn't be significant yet. It's as the app grows, that obviously
Yeah,
changes. But if say Kroger, came to us and said, "Hey, we'd like to advertise on your app." Yeah, we'd figure out a way to put Kroger on the app
sure.
and get them on there, even without the otherwise built-in ad structure. But we will eventually have an ad structure, and the app is always going to be free. I mean,
Yeah,
we might have some extra features that that you might be able to purchase or subscribe to, but the core of the app will always be free. And so in order to keep it free for the user, we will need to have an advertising platform, and so we're
hmm
going to get to that part. Um, we are, it's been self-funded up until this point. We've bootstrapped it, and
Yep.
Colin, myself, and Angie, my wife, we've put our own time, energy, and resources into making it to where it is today. We are currently in the we're in the fundraising mode, so we are looking for investors. So if somebody is interested in investing, we're sure, we're very that's a conversation that we're very receptive to. We're not looking to sell the app, though. I mean,
Right.
we're not looking to, the whole point. The whole point is we're David against Goliath. We're not going to sell to Goliath.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I guess that's I guess that's where I was going with that is I just wanted to show your character, because the fact that it's these things, and that's what you see on social media all over the place. People don't like ads. I listen to thousands of hours of podcasts, and of course nobody likes ads, but all of this stuff, creating an app, doing a podcast, all of it takes a lot of money. This podcast here, self-funded, and it costs money. So eventually you're going to get to the point where you can't continue to self-fund it anymore. And so,
Yeah.
me asking that question was just an idea. Is like, okay, you're self-funding it. You actually care about the product you're putting out there. You're not necessarily, it's not just something you're just hands off with, but it's actually something, it's your baby. It's your guys' baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I was reaching for when I asked that question.
Yeah, no, and you're spot on with that. And we're yeah, we're it's funny. It's been a heck of a journey, and we're really what we've accomplished in the time that we've accomplished it with the resources that we've had. I pinch myself every day that I get up, because I can't believe that we've pulled off what we've pulled off to this point. Now, obviously, we're not going to there's a limit to where our resources are going to take us, and our plans are far beyond that limit.
Yeah,
but to have even gotten to this point with what we're doing, we're blessed. It's been amazing. Colin, I didn't mean to co-op all your time on that.
Yeah.
You're good.
No,
I'll talk all day if you let me.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. And to kind of piggyback a little bit on what Aaron mentioned, this has been a labor of love, and this is something we are committed to, kind of driving that movement. And absolutely, yes, if there's anyone out there that's listening that wants to join, whether just by supporting us through the download of the application, so RYFFC, in any of your app stations, this is or your app markets, that is also a support, and it has its financial kind of ramifications. To your point about you need to get the podcast or our app going. Even just listeners and subscribers to your podcast are supporting you, even though indirectly, not financially, they're absolutely doing. So the same thing is true with the app. Download it, use it, that counts, and we truly appreciate it. There is a significant value for us. And then if there's anyone also listening who wants to also support us financially, that is very, very much welcome. We're in the middle of raising capital to kind of continue and grow this to the next level.
Good. I want to see it. I want to see it succeed. And as we kind of round this thing out, guys, of course, I'm going to put any links in. By the way, this is the first time that I've had guests on that have given us a unique link. I was like, I had showed it to my wife. I was like, check this out. Look at this. They put in a unique link for the podcast. How awesome is this? Leave us up to some tech guys to do this for us. So anyway, I'm going to put all that in, but it's not just an app. It's, you download it. We've said it, RYFFC on the Play Store. Or I don't know what, I'm not an Apple user. So
Apple Store. Yeah.
Okay, and then you guys have a website too. That's correct? A landing page of some sort?
Yep, RYFFC.com, RYFFC.com. is our is our main web page. But the app itself, or the app, we don't have a web app version. It's only in the mobile. So but you can download it. You can go to the download from there. So
Sweet. Yeah,
or you can use the link that we gave you, with the Undaunted
exactly.
podcast.
It's all going to be in the show notes for sure. And of course, I was able to find you guys on social media, like the big guys, the Facebook and the Instagram. I found you guys. I've followed. I've liked everything. So,
thank you.
Yeah, so you guys are on there as well.
Yeah, we're doing everything we can to to get the word out. It's just it's a matter of getting in front of as many people as you can, and having people try it, and hopefully they love it. We built. I tell people all the time, we built this for you. It's for everybody else to use, and to it doesn't work without the users. Our voting, our user defined moderation system. It relies on people voting, and if people don't get on it, if they don't vote, it doesn't work. And so it really is built for you. It really is you, Aaron, and you, the listener. And without you being on it, without you supporting it, without you putting content on it, looking at content on it, ripping people back, interacting, it's just a pixel on a screen that doesn't do anything. It's by everybody else that it becomes something truly amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. Guys, Colin, Josh, thank you guys for being on here. I sure appreciate it. Guys, anybody listening, check out this app, go download it, and spread the word about it. It's been an enjoyable conversation for me, and I hope that anybody listening it finds it just as informative and enjoyable as I did. So this is what we're all about. I love meeting new people. I love hearing what the entrepreneurship and there was at one point in time that I wasn't far from you guys, because I lived in Dover, Tennessee for a while, and I spent a lot of time in Nashville for a stint, but yeah.
And thank you very, very much for having us on. Your podcast name is exactly our spirit, so we are on a pursuit. It's daunting, but we are committed to it. So thank you very much for having us. And
you're welcome.
Some might say that we're undaunted in our pursuit.
Right. And hey, at least you guys are off to a good start. You've got at least Winter Jam backing you, as well as others, I'm sure. So you guys just keep up the good work. So hang tight for just a second while I close this out, and then we'll finish it out here. So
thank you so much for having us on. Truly, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Hey guys, and thanks for listening to Undaunted Pursuit podcast. I'm glad. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. Guys, share this episode with somebody this week. Get on and download the RYFFC app. Follow all the links. I'll have them in the description below. As usual, if you guys have any questions, want to reach out to these gentlemen that you just heard, contact us. You can contact us. Even if you just want to talk to us, send us a message, whatever. Send us a message on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know that you can do it on X, but anyway, follow us on all our social media platforms. Of course, you can hear this podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, and give us a good rating and review. That would really help us boost this up. As always, you can also message us at mail@undauntedpursuit.com or undauntedpursuit@gmail.com. Like I said, we make this incredibly easy to be reached, and we want to cultivate this community. So most of all, these people that we have on our podcast, we want to share them with our listeners. We want to share them with the world. Please go follow them. Go download this app and spread the news. It's an open platform. As you just heard all the ins and outs of this platform, and it sounds like something we can get on board with. It was exciting to talk to them. I have all intentions of having these guys back on in the very near future, seeing what else they're working on. So check him out. And of course, Zak Tindal dropped a new single, and let me tell you, this thing is just, it's off the hook. It's got a good rock vibe to it, and of course, as you all know, I love rock. I love hard rock, and he has done just that. It's not hard rock, but I hope you enjoy it. And of course, all of his links will be down there. Keep up with what he's doing. He's one of our favorites here on Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. Not to say that all the other artists, they're all amazing. They're all amazing. Show them support. And so enjoy this new single by Zak Tindal, and we'll see y'all next week on Undaunted Pursuit Podcast. See you guys.
Breathing to me and my lungs feel so deep, and I know that it's my heart that you seek. I'm ready for it. I've seen you overcome the death in my soul, change the atmosphere and you're in control. There's no other place that I want to go. I'm ready for it. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I'm ready for it. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I'm ready for it. I can feel it in my chest when you speak, calling to me. You say, rise up, be free. All you ask is that I make you my king. I'm ready for it. I've seen you overcome the death in my soul, change the atmosphere and you're in control. There's no other place that I want to go. I'm ready for it. Oh, oh, I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I'm ready for it. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I can feel it in my chest. I'm ready for it. I can hear words calling through the dark. You're calling me apart. You're calling me out of the dark. I can hear words calling me apart. I can hear you through the dark, screaming on my soul before you lose your hold. I can feel it in my chest when you speak, calling to me. You say, rise up, be free. All you ask is that I make you my king. I'm ready for it. I've seen you overcome the death in my soul, change the atmosphere and you're in control. There's no